Here are two ghost experience part 5, proudly present by Nightmare Horror Addict. Halfdog.
I was 10 at the time, along with my younger brother and sister, when my parent bought the 100 and some odd years old house for a scant 9,000. The owner, however, obviously threw in a few extras. The first of which I experienced a year or so after we were in the house. I first saw what we came to call halfdog in the front hall going into the living room. I'd see the tail end of a small black dog running into the room. I did not say anything to my family, thinking they would say I was joking. Little did I know that my mother, brother and sister had seen the very same ghost I had countless times. A few years later, we had moved the living room into where the dining room had been. One night as I sat on the sofa playing my guitar, I saw something out of the corner of my eye, seeming suspended near the ceiling, of what appeared to be a black door closing, surrounded by some kind of bubbles. I looked in shock closer, and watched it close completely, until it vanished. Again. I kept it to myself, and while talking to my sister, found out that she too had seen the same thing in the same place as I. My mother one night awoke at around 2 or 3 a.m., and while going from her room, was held in by some unkown force. She described it as someone standing there in front of me. She could not get out of the room. My sister had the most terrifying of all the experiences in her room. She had just turned out her light after doing some homework, when she heard a whispering voice calling her name. Thinking it was me or my brother playing a joke on her, she said, "I know it's you, so stop it." It kept up until she sat up and noticed a white figure on her floor crouching down beside her bed. She jumped over the figure and went screaming down the stairs where me, my brother and mother sat watching television. She never slept in the room afterwards. Among the many things we heard and saw, footsteps in the attic while we slept, shadows, no harm other than a good fright, ever became us. Years later, I got married, had children and ended up renting the house off my mother after her divorce from my father. My wife became the next believer in the house and its ghosts, after seeing a shadow peer at her from a hallway, in the same room as the black door my sister and I saw. We moved out shortly after, and the house was sold. I've wondered many times since then, if the new owners inherited our old ghosts, and if they too, seen and heard things. One thing is for sure, the new owners also became landlords to some unearthly tenants.
Chinese ghost story.
Hi, my name is Kevin and I'm from Canada. I have a very interesting story to tell you that I believe to be true. This story took place a few months, on July of 1997, when I was back in Hong Kong. When I was in Hong Kong, I lived with a relative of mine in an apartment complex. We would visit some of the sites in Hong Kong and spend lots of money. We decided to go to one of the tourist sites that contained a cemetery. We arrived and to our surprise there were lots of people there that day. I walked around, looking at tombstones and wondered about the designs. Some tombstones were designed for specific reasons. The Chinese are deeply superstitious about these things. While I was walking by myself, I heard what I thought was my mom calling me. I went to her and asked if she had called me. Her answer puzzled me. If she hadn't called me, who did? That night I was determined to crash and sleep. As I was laying in bed about to shut off my lights, I heard my name being called again. I got up and went outside, thinking it was my mother again. I walked past my parents' room and peeked in. They were sound asleep. I thought nothing more of it and went to bed. I spent a good 2 hours awake thinking about the voice I heard. When all of a sudden, I heard it again. This time I was really scared, and I didn't answer the voice. It kept calling me until it just stopped. The next morning I told my parents and relatives what happened to me the previous night. My uncle looked at me shockingly and said, "Kwai Mao." My mother used to tell me, when you hear someone calling your name, don't answer back until you know who's calling you, or you will meet up with Kwai Mao. Kwai Mao is a legend about a black cat that comes during your sleep, and inflict wounds on you. Sometimes, it will actually come and take you away. It is said to be evil and will call out to its victims, waiting for their response. When its victim responds, the cat takes that as an invitation. Anyway, I think it's best that I explain the origins of Kwai Mao. Kwai Mao used to be a living person that was cursed by evil and was doomed to roam the earth for eternity as a black cat. The only way it can find rest is to feed on humans. It can only do so if it was invited when it calls out its victims. The person who was cursed or the evil presence was not identified in the story. Needless to say, we all assumed it was only a story. Did I encounter a Kwai Mao? I'd like some feedback. Thanks.
Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe our channel to get notified when we get new fantastic video.